Hello and welcome everyone to today's Tech Talk on Approvals Management app in Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management. So my name is Hiren Naik. I will also be one of the presenters for today's Tech Talk. I have provided my email ID so you can connect with me or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I will now hand it over to Mathieu, who will get us started for this Tech Talk.
Hello everyone, so I'm Mathieu Binaisse and I'm pleased to welcome you to this Tech Talk. So you can connect also with me through my email address or through my LinkedIn. So today we'll cover several topics. So we'll start with an overview of the Approval Management app. Then we'll go to the integration into the source-to-pay business process. It will be followed by a demo of the user interface and some use cases. Then I will show you the installation process and how you can install the application. And then we share with you some resources. And at the end, we conclude this session with a Q&A session. So let's start with the overview. Organization can have strict purchasing policy and process and require additional level of controls, validation, and approval for purchasing material. If process is not streamlined, it could cause delays in approval process and material receiving. Approval Management app has been designed to keep in mind to address such challenges. It will provide flexibility, efficiency, resiliency, as well as a fast and easy way to review all material purchasing approval using Power App. Approvers and purchasing managers will have access in an easy way to all their critical purchasing approval available on the go using the Approval Management app. These features leverage the existing workflow capabilities of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management and enhance the end-user approval experience. The new features aims to revolutionize the approval process within the mobile application, specifically targeting purchase order and purchase requisition. By introducing these features, users can expect a significant enhancement in flexibility, efficiency, resilience, and responsiveness during the approval stages. For purchase order approval, this feature is set to replace the current system integrated within mobile Workspace, which is now considered deprecated. On the other hand, purchase requisition approvals are set to benefit from an entirely new experience, crafted from the ground up to streamline and optimize the approval process. This innovative approach is anticipated to simplify the workflow, reduce processing time, and improve overall user satisfaction. At this stage, we will support the following workflow and subworkflow: approve purchase requisition line, approve purchase order, and approve purchase order line, and we'll work on future workflow. In the mobile application, we support standard approvals like approval, reject, delegate, request for change, and adding a comment. We'll be able to build cooperation like approve all purchase order. In the detail of a purchase order or purchase acquisition, we'll be able to see comments sent by the requester, the attached file, and who needs to approve the timeline. On each screen, we'll be able to filter and order our purchase order and purchase acquisition and lines. Finally, we'll have some internal alert in the application, but Hiren will show you during the UI experience. The source-to-pay process is the process of sourcing, procuring, and paying for goods or service for external sources. The source-to-pay process aims to optimize the efficiency, accuracy, and transparency of sourcing and procurement cycle, and improve the cash flow and vendor relationship of the organization. The various business process areas source-to-pay include define procurement and sourcing strategy. This business process area involves defining sourcing and procurement strategy, analyzing spent data, identifying cost-saving opportunities, ensuring compliance, obtaining necessary approval, and negotiating contract with vendors. Defining procurement catalog. This business process involves defining procurement catalog by creating a standardized list of goods and services, setting up pricing and availability information, and maintaining accuracy, including both internal and external catalogs in Dynamics 365. Manage vendor relationship. This business process area involves managing vendor relationship by identifying and selecting qualified vendor, negotiating contract, monitoring vendor performance, and maintaining positive relationship. Procure material and services. This business process area includes creating purchase requisition, request for quotation, purchase order, and purchase agreement. It also includes communication with vendor about the purchase, either manually, electronically, including EDI, or using a portal such as with vendor collaboration portal. The purchase orders may also come from other business process areas, such as project profit or plant produce. Receive material and services. These business processes involves registering and receiving items or services, and updating stock upon arrival at the warehouse. This business process area is part of inventory to deliver business process. Process vendor invoice. This business process area involves processing vendor invoice by verifying accuracy matching invoice to purchase order and goods. Issue and settlement vendor payment. This business process area involves paying vendors accurately and on time according to agreement terms. Process vendor rebates and incentive. This business process area involves managing the tracking vendor rebates and incentive. The approval management app is connected to the process for procuring and material and services, specifically targeted to the two major steps of approving purchase requisition and approve purchase order. I will now hand over to Hiren, who will present you the user interface.
Thank you, Mathieu. So in the next few slides, I would like to cover the user interface aspect of the approvals management app. And then I will cover a couple of use cases of purchase requisitions and purchase order approvals through this mobile app. So now I am in the approvals management app, as you can see, and this is the home screen of that. So if I click on the home screen, I'll see the details about this approval app. So here we have the menu or navigation where you can select different documents which you want to approve. Purchase order and purchase requisition are the two documents which are currently supported. Next, we have the search bar. Here you can search for specific documents, whether it will be purchase requisition document or purchase order document. You can just type in with the free text and it will start filtering the documents which are in your queue. Next, we have the notification button. Here you get the notification as long as you have the documents in your queue, and you can go to the document details right from that notification as well. So we'll go back to the home screen and you can see there is a refresh button. So you will refresh this and you will see the new documents which are in your queue and it will get updated here. Next to that, we have the sorting capabilities. The sorting capabilities will change depending on the context or the screen which you are in. Currently, we are on the home screen, so you can only filter by category. So category would be like purchase requisition or purchase orders. And then you have a filtering capability as well. So in the filtering capability, if you click, you will be able to see and filter it. Now we are going into the purchase order screen. You will see all the purchase order headers. You can also go into the line if you have enabled the line level approvals. Those all will be listed here. We can go and look at the comments for each document. We can go into the details of each purchase orders, and we can first look at the accounting distribution details, like for different lines. Then we can look at the view workflow instructions. You will see all the workflow instructions which you have configured as part of the workflow. And then you can see all the header and line details. You can also go and look at the attachments, if there are any attachments attached with this document, and timeline, like who submitted it and when it was submitted and things like that. So now we can go back and we can go and look into the one of the document, and here you can see we have all the approval steps like approve, reject, delegate, and request change. If you click on delegate, it will define all the list of our users which you can delegate to. You can click on approve. When you approve it, it will provide. You can provide your comments. You can provide comments up to 400 characters, and then you can go ahead and approve the particular document. So as you can see, it's very easy and convenient way that your document has been approved. Now we'll go back to the lines. At the lines also, you can do the same thing. You can go into the specific lines and you will have a capability to view all the line details, all the line level workflow instructions, your quantity, unit, price, amount, and everything. And you also have options like approve, reject, delegate. at the line levels. Now let's go ahead and look at the purchase requisitions. So we'll go ahead and filter for the purchase requisitions, and you can see all the purchase requisitions which are there for your approval. Same concept, you can have a header level documents, you can filter them, or you can have a line level approval items. As you can see, for the lines, you can filter by vendor, item, net amount, and everything. So as I was mentioning, this filter will change as per the context. So that is a quick overview or quick demo of what the user interface look like. As again, it's very simple to use. The goal behind is to be very fast and responsive. You can easily navigate between documents, search, filter, sort, and get to the required details quickly and easily so that you can go about your approval in no time. Now, let's review a use case. This use case is related to the purchase requisition approval. So, Contoso Entertainment System manufactures, distributes, and installs home electronic equipment and have multiple distribution channels. Yulia wants to raise a request for Dynamics 365 training in the organization. Contoso also have a purchasing policy that all purchases above $1,000 require an approval by the manager. So when the purchase requisition is submitted for training by Yulia, her manager would like to view the purchase requisition from the mobile device. After initial review, the manager will request the change on the purchase requisition and send it back to Yulia as it does not have sufficient details. Yulia subsequently furnishes the additional details leading to the approval to the purchase requisition by her manager from the mobile device itself. So let's see this use case in action. So now I'm going into the Dynamics 365 finance and operations. I'll go into the procurement and sourcing, and let's first create a purchase requisition. So I'm logged in as Yulia. I'll create a new purchase requisition. I'll specify a purchase requisition name saying that need a training on Dynamics 365. And I'll click OK. Once the purchase requisition header is created, we can add a line. We can say I would like to create a line for the procurement category training. So I'll select the procurement category as training. I'll specify the description for the training. So I'll specify training on Dynamics 365. We'll specify the quantity and unit, and also we'll specify the unit price. If you know from whom you are taking the training, you can also specify the vendor account. So in this case, I'll just take the vendor land packaging. So now I'll go ahead and submit the purchase requisition. So Yulia will specify that please approve this training request via this purchase requisition. So now I am logging into the mobile app as a manager. And as you can see, the purchase requisition has come and it says, please approve this. So I'll go as a manager, I'll go ahead and look at all the details, look at the workflow instruction, which was configured for this workflow. I can see the timeline, who has submitted it and what time. At this point of time, it seems like I do not have enough information about training, why Yulia need this training. So I just wanted to kind of request a change and say need stronger justification and request a change. So now Yulia will basically do attach a document which kind of furnish more details about this training. And then she'll basically go ahead and resubmit the purchase requisition. So as you can see, we'll resubmit it. We'll specify the justification why she needs this 365 training and put it into the comment section. All right, so now the comment has been specified and we'll resubmit it. We can go back to the approvals app. As a manager, I will see the notification that new approval document has come to my queue. I'll review all the details like workflow instructions. I'll see the attachments where I can see the details provided by Yulia in terms of this document. And I can open that document and review all the details as well, right from the mobile app. I can go ahead and look at the line items, the quantity, the vendor, the amount, and everything. Everything looks good. So I'll go ahead and approve the purchase requisition at this point of time. And as you can see how easily I was able to kind of approve the purchase requisition. This was the first use case of how easily you can navigate through your purchase requisition approvals documents and review the details, request change, and then approve them. Now I want to take you through the next use case. So in this case, again, we'll take an example of Contoso Entertainment System. So in this use case, the facility manager raised a request for office supplies and cleaning services. Again, Contoso has a purchasing policy that it requires manager approval to approve any purchase requisition or purchase order for all the purchases which are above $1,000. So in this case, once the purchase requisition is submitted by facility manager, office manager will approve the purchase requisition. Once the office manager approves the purchase requisitions, it will automatically create the purchase orders, which will be again reviewed by purchasing agent. And once the purchasing agent reviews the purchase order and submit it, it will eventually go to the purchase manager. So purchase manager will basically review the purchase orders and also do some of the bulk approvals, because there are multiple purchase order which has come through, and you would like to take actions in bulk in one go. So that is the use case. And so in this case, we'll not perform those initial 3 steps. I'll just quickly walk you through the purchase orders which gets created, and then we'll focus on the last step where a purchase manager can review the purchase order, multiple purchase order, and can do the bulk approval. So before we go into the system, I just wanted to highlight one thing is that I have a purchase order header and purchase order line workflow configured here. It's a very simple workflow. There is nothing changed from the workflow configuration perspective as part of this new capability. So you still will create a purchase order line. You can still set up the assignments. You can still set up the validations and condition based on what you want to create a purchase line and purchase order header approvals. So in this case, I have a purchase line as an added step. If it's the line amount is more than $1,000, then it will have to first go to the purchase line approval and then purchase order approval. So I have 2 purchase order already created, 4552 and 4553. 4552 has 2 line items, 2 procurement categories, photocopiers for $16,000 and then the paper shredding machine for $8,000. Both are above $1,000, so we should be able to see the line level approval. And the other purchase order is for cleaning services. This is again for $3,000. So all these 3 purchase order lines should come into in the approval app as the line item approval, right? So now let's go ahead and look at the purchase order approval, the approval app, and see how this line level approvals looks like and how we can go about it. So now the approval manager logs into the app, purchase manager logs into the app, and as you can see on the right hand side in the notification, we can see there are multiple purchase order lines in RTO, 16,000, 8,000. Now I can see all the line details right from here, and as you can see, photocopiers is showing 16,000. But let's go back into the home screen. Let's filter this for just the purchase order so that you can see at this moment I don't have anything at the header level. Let's go into the line level because there is a line level approval required. So we'll review all the details of all these 3 lines one by one. So first, let's review the detail of the photocopier. Then we can go ahead and look at the another line. So this is the photocopier. Then we'll look at the another line for paper shredding machine, which is for $8,000, and then there is a third line for cleaning machine. So I'm pretty satisfied with all the purchase order request. I can select all of them all together. Here you can see I can specify the comments, but if I decide not to approve one of them, I can delete them as well, right? So I approved all the lines and it says your lines are approved, and you no longer see any lines here. Now, as per our workflow, the lines are approved, so we should be able to see the purchase order header, which was not visible earlier. So now I can go ahead and review the purchase order header, all the lines, all the workflow instructions. If there are any attachments, I can see that. I can see the line details. As you can see, we are including all the required fields such as vendor, purchase order number, line label details, everything you can see on the mobile app itself. So we'll verify all the lines one by one. Everything looks good here. For this purchase order, we can see the timeline, who has submitted it, what time, and everything. So I feel good about both the purchase order, and as you can see, I can select multiple purchase order, and I have all the options at the bottom to approve, reject, delegate, or request change. In this case, I'm simply go ahead and provide the comment and approve the purchase order headers, and it will say that these are the two purchase order for different suppliers have been now approved. So as you can see, very easily, I can even do the bulk approvals. I can quickly review the details, select them all together, and take an action of either approval or rejection right from the mobile app. So that's what I wanted to cover as part of our demo and use cases. I will now hand it over to Mathieu to kind of walk us through the remaining section of this tech talk.
So hello again, everyone. So now I want to discuss a little bit about the installation process. So I see a lot of questions regarding license and stuff like that. So let's talk about the prerequisites. So at this stage, you need, I would say, an activity license for using the application. You don't need extra license or perhaps license or other license. So just an activity license is required because we use buying agent, purchasing agent, purchasing manager, or system review. Another, I would say, prerequisite. So we enable this feature for 1041. So your environment should be greater than 1041. And finally, the link is with the Dataverse. So you should have, an environment with link with Dataverse. So I have also several questions regarding architecture. So we use virtual entity to connect the application with finance and operation. We don't use dual rights, we just use virtual entity. So you don't need to install, dual rights. Some limitations. So I have also another question. So the first limitation is that we will not cover at this stage Microsoft Cloud for sovereignty. And I have another question in the chat. So if we support, on-premise environment. So I will say no, but I will recheck with, the engineering team. But for the first point, I will say no. So now I will go to the installation. So you can find all the instruction in the Learn portal. But now I will show you what are the steps that you need to do to install the application. So first, you need to go to Power Platform Admin Center. So when you go to the Power Platform Admin Center, you have to select first your environment, where that is linked to your finance and operation environment. So you can select this environment. Then you will go to the settings. And then when you are in the setting, you need to go to product and feature because we need to enable one features. So if we go a little bit down, we need to allow publishing of Canvas app with component code. So I will enable these features. Then I will save. Now I've finished the mandatory stuff for the Power Platform. So now you can move to the app source. So you can find the application. So the link is already on the Learn portal. And then click on Get It Now. So it will redirect you to your Power Platform Admin Center. And again, you need to select your environment. So I have selected one environment here. For sure, you have to agree on terms and privacy agreement. And then you would click on install. So you will see just after that we have a process that's installing the application. So it can take some time. So I did it, 1 week ago for this demo. It takes around 10 minutes. So I squeezed this part. But you can refresh from time to time and it can be, a little bit quicker. So depending on your configuration. So, and you can click on refresh to see if it's finished or not. You have also an auto refresh. So when it's installed, the next step is to go to Power Platform. So I will go now to Power Platform. Same as previously. So first you have to select your environment. Then you can go to Manage Solution, so Solution and Manage Solution. So here you can see that we have two solutions and then show on the solution. So we need to go to the solution. And here you can see all the artifacts that we use, but what we need to share with the users is the application. So we can click on Share. As you can see, it's a preview, but as I said, the GA will be in the next week. So I will select the users. You can see that we have already some permissions that are already defaulted for this user. So to approve the workflow, we need to have this permission. And I can click on Share. And it will allow the users to connect to the application. So now we can try the application. So here I will use my administrator role. So I launch the application. So it takes some time the first time because we have to load some information. Then we'll have a screen to accept that will be only display for the first times. Then I want to add that these applications can be also available on mobile phone. So with, for example, Android or iOS, you just need to install the Power Apps in your phone. And now you can see that we have the application that's up and running. So this process is pretty quick. You have just to follow the step and it's well defined in the Hiren portal. So now we can go to the next part, so resources. So it's pretty what we want to share with you during this tech talk. But I would say regarding the resources, so I want to share with you first the business process. So here we have defined the business process for source to pay, but we can also find in our, Hiren portal some other business processes. We have also some articles about the approval management app dedicated to this. We'll explain all the steps to install and to use the application. And I also will share with you the workflow, so how you can set up a workflow in financial operation, because we don't do any improvement on the workflow side. We just add, a layer to approve, workflows. And I want to share with you two Engage or Yammer forum. So the first one was dedicated to the approval apps, and the second one is dedicated to all procurement and sourcing requirements. And then I saw a lot of questions about some new features. So please create some IDs in the portal. So we'll, take a look on this ID and we'll try to implement in this solution. Now I think it's time for question.
So Mathieu, there are questions like, would there be capability to open the approvals app from an email with the notification? If you want to take that.
I think I can take that. So I think it's already available in Finance and Operation Standard. So if you can receive the information through an email through the workflow, and then you can approve in the application. We don't, implement the link to the application in the email, but it should work normally.
The way you configure your email template and you get the notification in email where you can put the link and then from that link it will take you to the approval and you can approve the document. So that capability is already there. What I think the question is like, if from that link can we open the approvals app from an email with the notification or something.
So I think we can open the app, but not, link directly to the application, to the, the purchase order or purchase location to approve. But good point. I think we should sort out about these topics.
I think the next question is, when data will flow in virtual entity after workflow trigger or when record create in FNO? Yeah, so I think as per my understanding, everything is flowing after the records are getting created in FNO, and then it will be surfaced into the Power App through the virtual entity, right? So there is no change as such in the process or workflow on the Dynamics 365 side. You can still go ahead and approve the same document from FNO itself. So once you have all the bits and pieces of approvals there in FNO, those are being surfaced onto the Power App through the virtual entity. I hope that answers the question. Matthew, there is another question. To enable the feature in Power Apps settings, do you have to be an admin?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you need to be a Power Platform administrator in order to go into the environment and particular settings and then enable that capability.
Exactly. I think you need to be at least the administrator of this environment.
There's another question. Are there any PO line limits that app can handle?
We don't have.
Do you know any top of your head?
No, we don't have any limitation. So we should be careful perhaps on the performance of the application. So if we ever say, I don't know, 1009 could be perhaps an issue. But yes, it's a topic that we need to test also, sure.
There was a question, not understood the relation between the line approval and header approval. If PO has 2 lines, need to have 3 approvals, 2 lines plus 1 header approval, or when approved the 2 lines, also the header is automatically approved. So I think in this case, you are right. If the purchase order header, it's all dependent on how you have configured your workflow. So if you have enabled the line level approval, as you saw in the example, that any line which is greater than $1,000 needs to go through the line level approval first. And once that is approved, then you have an option like whether you want to do automatic header level approval or you always want to go ahead and review the header and then approve it, right? So it all depends on the workflow configuration. But if you have the line level approvals configured, that document will not come straight away as header level document approval. You have to first go through the line level approval. Once that line is approved, then depending on the workflow configuration, the header will be automatically approved or it will come to your header level approval queue so that you can also approve the header. So the thing has changed from that perspective, like how you configure your workflow, what conditions you set up, how you use the workflow editor and everything. So I hope that's clear. This is more of a approval app for like providing you the flexibility to kind of quickly review your documents in a queue and review the required details and kind of approve it on the go. Mathieu, there's another question, how the user will be notified of the workflow assigned to him?
He will be notified when he opens the application at this stage. I answered to these topics before, so we run a POC, I would say, to send a notification on the phone, but due to some limitation, we have not enabled these features in, I would say, will not enable this feature in G. But we are working to, I would say, on this topic because we thought that it would be, I would say, very, very relevant for all people.
Yeah. At this moment, you only see the notification within the app, but we are working on enabling a feature where you can get a notification, a push notification kind of thing on your mobile screen itself. Not in the app, but on the mobile screen itself. Okay. The next question is, I don't see the description of the line. Is it available? I hope it's in standard Power Apps since a lot of service items have often their description changed and the approver has to check the description.
We don't have the description, but it's good call out. So I think we need to do some improvement on the UI. So your feedback is more than welcome. So and we'll share with the product team, I would say, with the product group, all the, I would say, feedback that you give during this tech talk to improve the UI. So it will be we'll share, I would say, as I said, now we plan to GA these features in the coming weeks. So perhaps end of next week, but later the week after. So it will be soon in GA. So after that, we'll try to improve the UI, adding some new information. So your feedback is more than welcome to improve the application. And again, post your ID also in the portal. So for UI, it's a little bit different, but all the other ID, put them in the portal so we can track them.
So Mathieu, we have received another question saying that based on our testing so far, what we have observed is that either approve or reject from the app, it takes 10 to 15 minutes to get reflected in the D365 FO. Is that expected behavior? Any chance to reduce this sync time between app and D365 FO application?
So I'm a little bit surprised because I have not seen this pattern before. From my side, it was pretty, I would say, straightforward, but it's perhaps linked to the batch frequency because when you have to approve or reject or do something like that in the, I would say, app or in finance operation, then the batch job for workflow is running. So depending on the frequency of the batch job, perhaps that. So should be perhaps something that you should investigate to check if the, I would say, what is the frequency of your workflow? If the frequency is 10 to 15 minutes, makes sense. It takes 10 to 15 minutes. But on my test and all the tests that we did, we don't see any, I would say, delay between, I would say, when we, I would say, approve or reject and when it's come to effect.
I think workflow line level approval batch job frequency needs to be checked. It sounds like it is set to 10 or 15 minutes, and that's why you're probably seeing that delay. Okay, this is another good question. Can the app also show custom fields that we may have added to PO lines, or would it show standard fields only?
So the idea of this stage is, let's say, fixed. So we can't do any change on the UI, and you can't do any change on the UI at this stage. And you can't do any, I would say, enhancement on the, I would say, application in general, I would say. So adding some new field or adding some new information. So we can't do these topics right now. We are working on also on the POC to enable customer and partner to do some enhancement in the application to have a layer like we have in finance and operation on top of the app that we release, to have a layer on top. So you can do some, I would say, customization, so adding some new field, perhaps adding your own workflow or modifying a little bit the UI. So, but at this stage, it's not possible.
All right, I think we have got another question. Not PO and PR, other workflow will be supported on the app?
It's a good question. So at this stage, no. We also work, I would say, to have a common application for all the workflow. But at this stage, no.
And then there is another question. Will the old app continue to work, or will you no longer be able to access for approval? I believe the question is around the mobile workspace. So as Mathieu also mentioned in one of his slides, that mobile workspace is considered deprecated, and we are going GA with this new app next week. So you should plan to migrate to the new app as soon as possible if you are using the old mobile workspace.
I'm trying already answer to this question. It will be out of support starting October 24. So we'll not recommend, I would say, to use the application after October 24.
There's another question, Mathieu. Can we see the PO Financial Demension coding prior approval? And can we see if the PO is exceeding budget? We have the accounting distribution screen where we can see some details about the ledger, but I think that's pretty much it. I don't think we have exposed the budget or does it has any way to kind of say that you are exceeding the budget or something.
Yeah, in line with you, but it's a good call out. We need to also test this part. It's a good call out. So let's notice this part and we'll do some tests on this one.
There is another question which says, is it cross-company app, meaning you see all purchase order that you have to review from different legal entities directly? PR is already cross-company.
Yes, the app is cross-company, so you can approve purchase and order on purchase aggregation with all your companies.
Yeah, as long as you have access to different companies and approvals, you should be able to see those documents in your queue. Okay, I think we have covered most of the questions. What you are seeing on your screen is a survey for the feedback for today's session. So I just wanted to thank you to all of our audience for your participation. Your feedback is really, really essential. So please take a moment to complete this short survey. So with that, we'll conclude this session. And once again, thank you and enjoy your rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a good day.